Happy Motivation Monday, Wing Women. I hope everyone had a decent weekend, if not a good weekend. Sometimes we just have weekends, right? And that's okay too. If you just survived this weekend, I'm freaking happy that you're here. I am really happy that you made it to Monday. Congratulations. So, today we're going to talk about, and this isn't something that I never talk about, right? This is going to be very repetitive information, but I know that this is stuff that is so good for all of us women to hear over and over and over again. And that is the difference between weight loss and fat loss and the approaches that our brains want to take to that based on, every script that we've been given since we were probably some of us little kids, right? And how we're going to shift the way that we're thinking about the approach and how we do this and why. So this is really just for encouragement and for us to just take a deliberate pause to shift our mentalities about this exact topic here. So a lot of women, most of you, come to this program and you kind of secretly want rapid weight loss. Not just fat loss, but rapid weight loss. You really kind of want, even if you won't verbalize it or didn't verbalize it, you want to see that scale drop. Every single week, you want to see those numbers go down, 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 right? And when we plateau for a longer period of time, you do feel disappointed. And all of these feelings are completely valid because that has been the picture that you've received from social media, from TV, from commercials, from airbrushed models, from everybody who's told you that you need to eat less food, move more, and be thin, right? This is exactly in your mind what weight loss or getting healthier should look like. And that makes sense based on everything I just said. But here's the problem with that. Weight loss is conceptually something we don't just want to go for. And I think I've given this example before, but probably 2 years ago, I went skiing with some friends and my friend's wife looked at me and said, "You are getting too thin." And I wasn't trying to really necessarily lose weight at the time. I had just gotten onto this kind of longevity health span kick. And I was in a precision medicine fellowship and they were talking about all of this nitty gritty stuff of longevity medicine and health span medicine of I cut out gluten, which is a good thing at the end of the day. I really needed to, but I wasn't replacing those calories from other places, from other sources. I was just now significantly under eating. I was going crazy with all of the don't eat seed oils, blah, 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 all this stuff. You can't eat XYZ. It was being taken too far to the point where I was in a deficit that my body could handle, but didn't need. And I was getting way too thin. And that is something where you're well, gosh, darn it, I wish that would have happened to me, right? But for my body at the time, that's not what I needed. I had gone through a couple of periods with the military where I was at these longer training exercises and I lost a bunch of weight there too in a very rapid, unhealthy way, just due to stress, due to excessively cold environments, where I think I lost a lot of muscle mass. And when this happened, it was kind of this cyclic thing happening again, and I ended up getting a DEXA scan. This is not the direction that I was going to go with this, by the way. I ended up getting a DEXA scan probably a year after that, and I was kind of on the line of being osteopenic, which means my bone mineral density is low, and I'm 30, probably 7 at the time. So it was kind of a red flag, and I was just cool, there's got to be a better way, or there's something missing here, right? And spoiler alert, the thing that was missing here is that all of those longevity courses that I was going through were made for men and protocols that work for men. And come to find out, all of the other stuff, worrying about what should I eat? Should I eat seed oils? Should I blah, 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 XYZ? it's too much. If we cannot or have not mastered the basics that I kind of talk about over and over again, which for women is eating adequately for a long enough period of time that you have adequate muscle mass to be able to sustain a higher level metabolism throughout your life, which is possible, by the way. It's just completely backwards from what we were told weight loss or fat loss should look like, right? So what we really want in this program is we want to chase muscle gain, which eventually will absolutely lose to fat loss. But that doesn't always equal the scale dropping. Okay, so I was 126 pounds the day that my friend said, you're getting too thin. Fast forward 2 years, today I'm 149 pounds. I'm almost the heaviest scale weight I've ever been, but I'm still wearing the same pants that I was wearing, with the exception of they're getting a little tight on my thighs because my leg muscles are getting bigger. So I'm not sad about any of that. I feel a lot better. I actually have energy again. I did the complete flipping of the script that I talked to you guys about. And I'm not saying that I'm like perfectly happy with my physique. I'm carrying a little bit extra belly weight right now, but it's necessary. And the reason it's necessary is because I'm putting that muscle back on my body that I lost, and my bone mineral density is probably improving, hopefully. I need to go in, get another scan to see what that looks like. But I'm hoping that my bone mineral density is better, my energy is better, everything is better. But this is kind of like the price to pay for getting all of those health metrics to where you want them to be, is you might carry a little tiny bit of extra body fat while we're getting there. It's really, really difficult to do both at once, where we're losing fat and we're gaining muscle all at the same time. We usually have to kind of do these cyclically, okay? And this is where I want to really encourage you guys. So if your body doesn't feel safe and doesn't have all of those health metric boxes kind of checked, that's when I start hearing women say like, well, my metabolism's just slowing down because I'm older. No, it's slowing down because you probably have lost some muscle mass in the amount of time where you haven't been paying attention to it. Maybe you're moving a little bit less than you used to when you were younger. These things are all going to add up over time, but we can combat them. And this is something that Stacy Sims talks about. She's one of the women's health forerunners, PhD. She talks about this a lot when it comes to women specifically, that women's bodies are highly responsive to perceived stress. This includes emotional stress and physiologic stress, like under eating, overtraining, poor sleep, constant dieting. And when those things stack up, your body is going to read that as resources are scarce and I need to conserve. Right? So we can't just cut calories forever, because at some point your body is not going to be able to sustain that anymore. It's going to plateau, and then your new baseline is now very, very low, to a point where we can't go anywhere from here. Okay? I just totally blew all of my notes and my script out of the water. So let me get back to square here. So when we do all of the things that we were kind of taught, and we get stuck at that point where we're plateaued after a significant, calorie cut after a while, most women, they double down. They dig deeper. And instead of moving towards their goal at this point, they're actually moving further and further away from it, because you can absolutely continue to do more and eat less, but if your body is already under-resourced, it will not respond the way that you expect anymore. It's just, you can only go so far in that direction without having negative consequences. And what do those negative consequences look like? We've seen this in my story, right? Decreased muscle mass, decreased bone mineral density, extreme stress, extreme fatigue, and then most people in this situation will then flip the other way, and then they start overeating, and their body is going to store it as fat because it thinks it needs to Because what if, right? Your body's like, what if this happens to us again? Then we need to have fat stores. So then you're going to rapidly gain weight back. And this is what we kind of call this kind of yo-yo dieting cycle, where you diet, you lose a bunch of weight, and then you gain it all back. How many of you know somebody who's lost 30 pounds and then gained it all back and more within a year? Or maybe that's happened to you. This is exactly the thing that we're trying to avoid in this program. Again, blew my script out of the water after we recalibrated. We're recalibrating again. Let's see here. Shoot. So, where's a good place to pick up here? So what are we doing? So this is why we must have cycles where we are building energy to support fat loss and then lose fat, and then build energy to support fat loss and then lose fat. And my ultimate goal for each and every single one of you would be, and this takes a lot of time, would be to get you to the point over a few cycles of fat loss where we can then feed you back up to a pretty significant maintenance that's livable while at that same weight and feeling that same way, right? So maybe you'll be eating 2,200 calories a day and still wearing the same size pants that you have now fit into after we've gone through like 3 or 4 fat loss cycles, right? So, like I said, I am literally almost 20 pounds heavier and I'm still wearing the same clothes because of this exact process that I'm trying to take you guys through. It has just taken time. It has taken 2 years. And really the bulk of it has been gained for me in the past 1 year. So I want to encourage you guys to stay the course, even if this feels arduous or it feels like you want this to be a faster process than it is. I assure you, we are going in the right direction because this is really about the long game. Okay. And I know that's not always the most exciting message to hear, but it is the message that actually works and keeps you out of that vicious cycle of weight loss, weight gain, weight loss, weight gain, right? We need to do this the right way. So if you feel this week like things are going slower than you are expecting, I want you to kind of zoom out and ask yourself a better question. I want you to ask yourself, what do I actually want here? Do I want the fastest possible way to lose 15 to 30 pounds, even if it means I'm exhausted, restricted in what I can eat, and have negative effects on my long-term health? Or do I want to finally build a body that has energy, that has strength, that can actually hold on to the results that I worked for? Because those are 2 very, very different paths. One is like digging yourself out of a hole or climbing out of a hole. And the other is like digging yourself deeper into the hole. And the path of digging yourself deeper into the hole may look appealing in the short term, but trust me, it has a dark side. And we just kind of went over it, even though it was inadvertent for me. For many, many other women and many women that I work with, it is a deliberate hole that they've dug themselves into because they didn't have all of the information to back the way of doing it the right way that's going to sustain their results for a longer period of time. Because trust me, you can absolutely lose weight while digging the hole deeper, right? And we talked about that with the people who like will lose 30 pounds and then gain it right back plus more. That's exactly the cycle that I want you guys to stay out of for the rest of your lives. And that's what we're here for. Because once you're standing on that solid ground and your body is able to have the capacity to sustain your results, even if getting there feels uncomfortable for a while, once you get to that other side and once you're in that position where you can sustain it, everything looks so much better. Your energy, your training, your metabolism, your physique, it has to follow suit. The physique has to follow suit when we do this long enough. And all of those other beautiful benefits are going to come along with it, right? Including your ability to sustain those results that you have built for the long term. So this week, when you start thinking to yourself, is this working fast enough for me? And you start getting discouraged. I want you to catch yourself, and I want you to say, what do I really want out of this journey this time? Do I want to dig the hole deeper, or do I want to climb out of it completely? Because the body that has muscle and feels energized and supported and strong, that's the one that can actually change and stay changed. Okay, so that was only 3 times as long as Motivation Monday is supposed to be, but I will warn you in the replay announcement so that you know to give yourself about 16 minutes to listen to this puppy. And I hope you guys have the best week ever. Get out there, stay the course, because it's going to be 100% worth it. I promise you it will be. So get out there, do your thing, and I will see you tomorrow night for Tuesday class. I haven't decided what it's going to be yet, but it's going to be good as per usual. All right, bye.